Thanks very much for that, Tony. I knew we had to have you on this platform. Una, you're next.
Well, thank you. What a terrible, terrible fate to have to speak after Tony. My God. Well, let me start by saying that Bevan said the purpose of having power is to give it away. I'm sure we're all familiar with that quote. So how ironic it is, following on from many of the points that Tony just made, that it was the Labour Party itself, in many respects, that decided it didn't want or couldn't actually give power away in a meaningful way, either to Labour Party members or to those that wanted to engage more meaningfully with the legislative process. And I think if we want to look at some of the reasons behind this, we need to look at our DNA, really. And on the left, we've always understood that it's a really good idea to redistribute wealth. Okay, we get that bit, don't we? We think that's fantastic. We've had a bit less understanding of how it's a really, really, really good idea to redistribute influence. So, you know, we understand those that are least well off, let's give them more money, one way or another. But those that are least well off, shall we actually let them influence the policy decisions we make? We have not walked down that path. And I think renewal of the Labour Party depends on us imagining and inventing the ways that that can actually be meaningful. That's what the Labour Party has to do. I remember, everyone's given their example of how socially devastating a local Labour Party meeting can be. I remember turning up to my first Labour Party meeting as an excited and impressionable 14-year-old. I agree it was a bit too soon. And I didn't return to a Labour Party meeting for 8 years. And that's because it was just the most impenetrable, socially devastating thing I've ever been to. I was saying at another debate on this recently, I could see no point in it, but maybe, it was a meeting in Camden in the early 80s, maybe that's why. But I think what we really need to understand, if we get to the bottom of this, redistributing influence as well as wealth, we have to understand that process matters. I never, process for me, it didn't inspire me. Why, it's pipes, not poetry. I wanted, the policy was what always inspired me, not the process. But the process affects the outcome. And I think we really have to recognize this. So you can't say, for example, I believe, well, you can say it, people do. I never understand how they square it, but I believe in women's equality, but I don't believe in women's only shortlists. I won't support them as a means to an end. And, you just have to look at how you actually get results. How do you change the facts on the ground? And quite often it's the process that does that. And the other thing, which we've heard a bit about, is actually having a Labour Party that genuinely tolerates dissent. You have to be able to tolerate people not agreeing with you. I remember as a fairly young MP, sitting on those hallowed green benches. I'd been an MP maybe for about 1.5 years, and I got a note. A note was passed down, and I opened it, and it said, Una King to go to the Prime Minister's office immediately. And I just thought, it's like your worst experience from school. I just thought, oh no, what have I done? And when I got in there, there was, his office in the Commons. It has an antechamber, and it has 3 actually. There's an antechamber, then another one, and then his. And we were in the middle one, the antechamber, and in his, he was there preparing for PMQs, and he sort of waved, and I waved, the door was ajar, and then I sat down with the 3 people running Britain, obviously, Alistair Campbell, and Sally Morgan, and Andrew Hunter. Anyway, and they said to me, Una, we've got a request from the Prime Minister for you. And I was like, sure, happy to help. And they said, we need you to attack Ken Livingstone. And I sort of said, okay. And I have to admit, my totally pathetic first response was, why me? And I hadn't quite got to the principles of the matter at that stage. I was just like, but why me? And they said, because you're thought of as being independent-minded, that's the first reason. And the second reason is you are an ethnic minority, And in the upcoming London, selection and contest, ethnic minorities have a large number of the votes. So we need you to do that. We need you to attack Ken Livingstone. He's out to destroy the Labour Party. That's what they said. And I said, no, he's not. He's just got a different opinion. And that really didn't go down well at all. And so Alistair, I really remember, I said, can you give me a bit of time to think about it? When do you need to know by? Because they had a specific thing they wanted me to do. And Alistair said, now. And I said, I thought it was quite good, actually, under that much pressure to say, oh, now I know how Robin Cook, seeing as it is the Robin Cook morning, now I know how Robin Cook felt in that airport lounge. Do you remember when Alistair Campbell gave him like 1 minute to decide whether he was leaving his wife? Anyway, again, that didn't go down very well. And I said, look, basically, Ken has a right to stand. This is a democratic party. It should be a democratic process, a democratic selection. And I know this is the end of my political career, but the answer is no. And Alistair said, quick as a flash, he said, oh, no, not the end of your political career, just the next 5 years. You can go. And what it really, the next day when a member of the Prime Minister's office called me and said I could no longer come to the meeting that was booked into my diary with Tony Blair to discuss an issue on immigration, she said, I'm sorry, we've had to take you off the list because we can only have people we can trust. And it's that, I have to say, I think what New Labour did, which was the founding articles of New Labour are to link social prosperity with economic wealth. And I believe that is the best and most progressive thing that any political party has ever given Britain. I think it is extraordinary. By doing that, we redistributed more wealth than the Attlee government. It's amazing what we did. But we threw the baby out with the bathwater because we could not tolerate dissent, and that has to change. It has to change if we're going to renew the Labour Party. It has to change if we're going to get the ideas that we need in, and it has to change if we are going to be true to our values. And being true to our values is saying, when we say we believe in a representative democracy. Oh, really? Sit in the House of Commons. Look round the benches. It's not a representative democracy. The people of Britain and contemporary Britain are not represented. Women are not represented properly there. Ethnic minorities, disabled people, so many groups of people are not represented there. And I really think that we have to remember this thing about process. I think we also have to remember, by the way, don't worry, I will be 2 minutes. You don't even have to write the note. I'm used to getting notes. It'll be passed down. But, if we are talking about process, for instance, I think that London should be not just the financial capital of the world, but the social capital of the world. And that's why, I'm laying out my platform about why I would like to be London's mayor. But I also think that Labour Party members need enough time to actually have a proper debate on that issue. And I do ask the question, why is that being conflated with the most important choice of all, which is the leadership? Why aren't party members going to be given enough time to have a proper debate about that? So let's remember that the process impacts the outcome. The outcome we need is a more social, put the social back into socialist, that's what I'm saying. It's not about monetary capitalism, it should be about social entrepreneurial attitudes, and that's what local Labour Party should be about. That's what they have been about, and that's what fantastic local councillors have been about, the ones that helped us get those amazing results. So let's renew the party, let's take on board the great, fantastic points that have been made here today, but at the core of that, we must tolerate dissent, and in that way, we will promote the socialist party that we can all be proud in. Thank you.